I'm sharing to you what's really on my heart. Just think of, I've shared this before in my sermon, some of you might have heard. Just think of an escalator, and then you just think of an escalator that's descending. So when there's this descending escalator, just imagine you're running up this escalator. You know, like a bunch of kids, we do that, we run up. And it gets hard. You can do it for a while, and then all of a sudden, you start going down. Imagine that as a Christian life. So when you're running up this escalator that's descending, you're running up. Imagine you're doing your spiritual disciplines. You're doing prayer, you're doing fasting, you're going to church, you're teaching Bible study. You're doing the Christian things, quote unquote, right? And all of a sudden, when you're on this escalator of the Christian life, you fail. You fall. Because everybody has those trip-ups now and then, right? So all of a sudden, when you fall on this escalator that's descending, what happens? You start going down. That's called law. Okay? Now imagine an escalator that's ascending. It's going up. So you're doing your Christian life, you're doing your devos, or whatever you want to call it, you're sharing your faith, you're doing evangelism, you're going up, just like this Christian life, then you fall. What happens? You still go up. You know what that's called? Grace.
Unmerited favor. Undeserved.
It's all packed in there. Okay? And I think if people, if you guys can continue to pray for me too, because in the Philippines I get criticized a lot. Mommy knows that. It's pretty crazy. And I'm telling people, these people could criticize me all the time. And it's fine. I get attacks. All that. I got a text 2 days ago. I told my parents about it. They just harass me on the internet. They just send me private emails. I just ignore it. But I was just thinking about, like, if people want to live their lives the way they want to, that's fine. I'm just sharing what helped me. But I do believe that those people that are very critical of me and my message of grace, that when they fall, I think they'll like my message. Get back up. You know what I'm saying? Because what I realize, folks, is that God is not here to change you. His main goal, now listen to my words, His main goal is not to change you. And a lot of Christians are thinking that God just wants to change you. Oh, you know, once you become a Christian, you know, God wants to stop doing this, stop doing that, stop breaking that habit. Christians are not supposed to do that. Folks, I'm here to say God's main goal is not to change you. How do I know that? Because you think about it in relationship, for those of you who are wanting to be in a relationship, or you're already in a relationship. I don't think, if you're a loving person, that your main goal should be, once I get with this person, I'm going to try to get him to stop doing this, stop doing that, this bad habit, I just want to change them. And we know that. We hate it when people put expectations on us. Now, how do I look at it with God? God's main goal is not to change you. God's main goal is for you to know, He wants you to know how much you are loved by Him. And once you know how much you're loved by Him, you'll change. That's how it is. Like when I just, when you get in a relationship, you don't want to put those expectations on your partner. What you want to do, if it's true love, that's selfless.
That's right.
No matter what, they keep screwing up. Sorry, they keep messing up. Okay? Okay, I'm just going to talk from my heart, right? I'm from LA, right? Here's my gun. So, you imagine when you're in a relationship, what you want, if it's all called unconditional love, you keep loving them.
That's right.
No matter what.
That's
and
right.
then once they get this revelation that this partner loves me so much,
That's right.
I want to change. I want to change. But imagine, isn't it harder, folks, when people put this expectation on you? Why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? Why do you got to put that on me? You know, God's not doing that to any of us. God just loves you just because. And of course we change. Why? Because sin is not good for us. But His main goal is like, I died for you so you could stop sinning. That's not His goal. His goal is to die for you so you can know Him and know His heart. And of course, as we change, it'll affect the world. Because the world will know us not by our apologetics. The world won't just know us by healing. They'll know us they'll know God because of His love. Because of the unity. That's it. And so this journey that I've been on with apologetics, healing, I like what this one book said, those are just things in the Christian life. Yeah, you can get into that stuff, defend your faith, get all intellectual. You can do healing. There's too much focus on healing sometimes. And the thing is, the simple thing is, it's just Jesus Christ. And when you look in the Gospels, they just preach Jesus Christ. When you look at Paul, when he would go here, he would debate there. He was preaching Jesus Christ. And it wasn't all just these 10 principles on how to, plant a church in another country, or here's principles to have a better marriage. When you focus too much on principles, you start to live by law. You start to live by a mentality of rules and do's and don'ts. And if you live by a bunch of rules and do's and don'ts, there's no difference with our religion and another religion. And I'm just using this old language, it's not a religion. This is a relationship. But Christians are treating it like a religion. Because now that I'm a Christian now, I'm supposed to stop doing this, I'm supposed to read my Bible more. You know, I'm trying to show people when you're a Christian, there's not so much of a focus on you being a committed Christian. Okay? Okay. I'm here to destroy something called sacred cows. Okay? And it's okay. Sacred cow is just these traditions that we have in Christianity that I think are they're just made up by people. God is not looking for a committed Christian. The Bible doesn't even talk about you being a committed Christian. Okay, God does not even ask you to give me your life. Like we do altar calls and stuff like that. Okay, who wants to give their life to Jesus Christ? Like, I know what they mean, because I want to get people to get saved. But God is not asking you for your life. You know what God is saying? Let me give you my life. Okay, John 10 talks about where He came to give you life and give life to the full. It's His life that's being given to you. Your faith is not about how much you could commit to God. You know why? Because if you keep committing to God, you're going to stink and fail. And that's why there's so many Christians that once they become a Christian, and look at it this way. When you're a non-believer inside of a church, that you're at this evangelistic crusade, we're preaching about the unconditional love of God. Just come, just as you are. Just love you as you are. And things like that. He loves you unconditionally, which is true. And this message will touch a non-believer's heart. But once they become a Christian, you're screwed. Because all of a sudden you have all these principles you have to live by. Every day and all those things. That's not the Christian life. I'll tell someone that's a non-believer. He loves you unconditionally. No matter what you do. And once you become a believer, it's still the same. And we put too many conditions upon Christians that once they become a believer, if you sin, God's presence will be removed from you. He's not going to bless you. I can show you how many times I've failed, folks, and God still blesses me. And once I focus and I realize His goodness to me, that's what gets me to change. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not saying live a life such as life of sin. But you and I know you can do something stupid in the morning. And something good can still happen later on in the day. It's called grace. It's called grace. And if people just got that, I believe that a lot of people wouldn't be walking away from the church, because if you put these, you folks, okay, guys, okay, girls too, okay, I know some girls tell me stuff too. Guys, it's hard, man, when you struggle with girls, right? You know what I'm saying? Okay, all the guys like, you know what I'm saying? And that's the thing, though. Amen. A lot of people are so focused on trying to live the Christian life. Don't even focus on trying to live the Christian life. Okay, that sounds weird. Don't even try so hard to live the Christian life. Let Christ live His life through you. Don't even try to be good tonight. Okay, if you are having problems in your marriage, don't try to fix your marriage. Humble yourself and say, Lord, I can't do it, but you can. I'm telling you, because the more you focus on trying to fix your screwed up mistakes, you're going to keep doing it more. You know what I'm saying? And that's why I read in this one book that true change does not happen by you making your commitment and your promises to God. True change is when you focus on God's promises to you. Because if you make promises to God and you fail, your guilt will multiply. You and I know that. I make promises to God. God, I'll never do that again. I'll never watch that again. I'll never say that again. Boom. When you fail, it multiplies. And I'm telling you, don't focus on trying to love God. You're going to fail. And if you didn't, praise God. But I do all the time. And that's why I know it's wonderful to know that you could fall in grace and He'll catch you. You know what I'm saying? Okay, now here's a verse that I think might be new. At least this interpretation. How many of you guys know that verse, you should love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, and mind? In Deuteronomy, Acts strength, in chapter 6. Now, I read books about that. You love God with all your mind, you do apologetics, love God with all your heart, you want to help the poor, etc., etc. We're all familiar with that verse. That's Matthew chapter 22. What if I were to tell you that that verse does not apply to you? Okay. Is that new? I see tomatoes. What if I were to tell you that Matthew 22, where it talks about loving God with all your heart, soul, and mind, is not applied for, it's not meant for believers today? I'm just curious. Is that new? I'm not saying you agree with me. Okay, that's new. Okay. Why do I know that? Okay. Now, if I were to be a preacher up here, and especially a lot of preachers are very passionate when they're up here trying to set an example for the congregation. If I'm telling my congregation, folks, I want you to love God with all of your heart, with all of your soul, and with all of your mind. You know what you can ask? Does my pastor do that? Who's preaching up there?